Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I never imagined my life would turn out this way. Nearly 15 years ago, I married the man I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. We were happy, at least I was. He was attentive, thoughtful, and we seemed to agree on all the big things, our values, our goals, and especially our shared decision to remain child-free. We had a life full of travel, hobbies, and the freedom to build a future on our own terms. Looking back, there were no obvious warning signs, no big arguments that hinted at what was to come. I trusted him implicitly. 8 years into our marriage, everything fell apart. I discovered that my husband had been having an affair, and not just any affair. It was with my younger sister. To this day, I'm not sure how long it had been going on before I found out, but by the time I learned the truth, their relationship wasn't just some fleeting mistake. It was serious, ongoing, and, worst of all, they said it was love. I was devastated. The betrayal came from two sides: the person I'd promised my life to, and the sister I had always tried to protect. The pain was unlike anything I had ever experienced, and it changed me forever. As soon as I knew the full extent of the affair, I filed for divorce. I couldn't stay married to someone who had shattered my trust so thoroughly, and I couldn't maintain any kind of relationship with my sister either. Family gatherings became unbearable. Even though my parents initially tried to bring us all together and sweep the mess under the rug, it was impossible for me to be around them. I stopped attending holidays, birthdays, and other events. The mere thought of sitting across from my sister and my ex-husband knowing what they had done was too much to bear. Over the years, my ex-husband and sister married and had 2 children. Strange for a man who was swearing on being child-free for the rest of his life, but people change, I guess. To this day, I've never met them. I know what they look like from family photos and occasional updates from my mother, but I've never had any interaction with them. Meanwhile, I remain close to my brother. He and his wife have 2 children, and I've always been auntie. I've spent countless weekends babysitting, taking them on little adventures, and celebrating their milestones. I've watched them grow up, and they know they can always rely on me. My brother's family is my family. A couple of years ago, I received a serious medical diagnosis. Thankfully, it's manageable, but it made me take stock in my life. I started thinking about what would happen if my health declined. Since I never had children of my own, I began planning how to distribute my estate. I've always been close to my brother's kids, so the decision felt natural. I would leave everything to them. They've been an important part of my life, and I wanted to help secure their future. It seemed fair until my mother got wind of my decision. She approached me one day, saying she was concerned about the unfairness of my will. She argued that I was excluding my sister's kids and that I should treat all my nieces and nephews equally. She didn't stop there. She went on to say that since my sister's children were also my ex-husband's children, I should prioritize them because they were, in her words, the closest thing to my own children I'd ever have. She insisted that leaving them out would be cruel, that they were innocent in all of this, and that I needed to let go of the past. I was stunned. I asked her point blank, "So you're telling me that I should leave my inheritance to the kids my ex-husband had with the sister who helped destroy my marriage?" She didn't back down. She said it wasn't about him, it was about the children. She called me petty for not being able to look past the circumstances of their birth. I explained to her that I didn't even know my sister's kids. I'd never met them, never spent time with them. I had no relationship with them. She argued that it didn't matter, that they were still family and deserved to be treated equally. The conversation became heated. I pointed out that my sister and her children have never been a part of my life. I told her that my decision wasn't about punishment or revenge. It was about the relationships I had cultivated. My brother's kids are a huge part of my world. They know me, trust me, and rely on me. Why should I leave anything to children who, through no fault of their own, are essentially strangers to me? Then I asked her another question. Are you planning to leave anything to Dad's other kids? My parents divorced years ago, and my father eventually married my mother's sister. That was its own complicated mess, but it's worth noting that my father never cheated on my mother with her sister. The relationship only started after their divorce. Despite this, my mother never forgave them. She cut ties with her sister completely and has never had a relationship with the children from that marriage, my half-siblings. I knew she had no intention of including them in her estate plans. When I pointed this out, she had no response. I told her she was being a hypocrite by demanding that I embrace and provide for children I don't know, while she continues to ignore her own family members. Our conversation ended on a sour note. I told her that my decision was final. I've since received more texts and calls from her, all trying to convince me to change my mind and my will, but I haven't responded. I can't believe she's not dropping this subject. My brother's kids have been a significant and meaningful part of my life, and I want to support them. I don't feel the same way about my sister's children, and I don't think I should be forced to pretend otherwise. At the same time, my mother's accusations have stuck with me. I keep wondering if I'm being too harsh. I know the kids didn't ask to be born into this situation, and I know they have no role in what happened years ago. But does that mean I have to share my estate with them just because we're biologically related? I don't think it does, and yet my mother's guilt trips are hard to ignore. This is why I'm asking, am I the a-hole for refusing to change my will? OP should not even ask this question, because she's not the a-hole 100%. OP's mom's demands don't hold any weight here. First, OP has no relationship with her sister's kids. It's not like OP has been involved in their lives or has any kind of bond with them. OP's brother's children, on the other hand, have been a real part of her life, and they've been treating OP as a close family member. It's perfectly reasonable for OP to want to help secure their future. What makes OP's mom's argument even more ridiculous is that she expects OP to prioritize these kids just because they're also her ex-husband's children. That's a bizarre and insensitive expectation. Why should OP be obligated to do anything for the kids of the man who shattered their marriage and the sister who betrayed her? OP made it clear this isn't about punishing the children. It's about who OP considers family. That's a perfectly valid reason to leave OP's estate as it is. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. It's not about punishing your sister's kids, and it's not about holding on to a grudge. It's about the simple fact that you have a close, meaningful relationship with your brother's children, and you don't have that with your sister's. Your brother's kids know you as a loving aunt, someone who's been there for them throughout their lives. It makes sense that you'd want to leave something behind for them. Your mother is clearly trying to guilt you into making this fair, but fairness isn't about dividing everything equally. It's about doing what feels right and logical based on the connections you have. The fact that your mom can't see the hypocrisy in her own actions is another layer to this. She doesn't talk to her sister or her sister's children, but she's expecting you to embrace your sister's kids simply because of blood? That's not how relationships work. You're entitled to make your own decisions about your estate. Not the a-hole, and frankly, your mother's position is entirely ridiculous. You don't have any kind of relationship with your sister's children. They're practically strangers to you. Meanwhile, your brother's kids have been in your life for years. You've spent time with them, watched them grow, and built a bond. Why should you leave anything to children who you've never met, just because their mother and your ex-husband happened to betray you? It's even more frustrating that your mom seems to ignore her own behavior. She expects you to bend over backward to include your sister's kids that your ex-husband fathered, yet she's never even considered leaving anything to her sister's children. Her double standard is glaring, and it makes her argument even less credible. You've done nothing wrong here. You're not being petty. You're making a logical decision based on your relationships, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Not the a-hole. It's ridiculous that your mom is pressuring you like this. She's acting as if you're obligated to distribute your estate evenly across all the kids in the family, even when you don't know your sister's children at all. Your brother's kids have been a major part of your life. They see you as a significant adult figure, and you've shown them love and support over the years. It's only natural that you'd want to leave something behind to help them succeed in the future. Your sister's kids, on the other hand, are not people you've been involved with. They're not people you have a bond with. The fact that your mom is tying them to your ex-husband and trying to convince you they should be prioritized because of him is absurd. Add in her own refusal to engage with her sister's family, and it's clear she's being completely hypocritical. You have every right to make your own choices about your will, and those choices are perfectly valid. We got engaged a few months ago. Me and brother-in-law were both planning to propose on the same date, but I got it done first. But we didn't propose with rings because we both wanted to pick out our own rings and go through that process together. We're both women, so 2 engagement rings, double financial whammies. Something to note is that we are both very privileged and have been given big head starts in our life by our families. My fiancée and her older brother, the brother-in-law in question, both had their colleges paid for, including law school and med school. Were given very nice cars and a very large lump sum intended for a down payment on a house. I also had my schooling paid for, and my parents paid for the down payment on the condo we live in right now. Our jobs are also very secure and relatively high paying, so financially, we're doing great, especially considering we don't have or want kids too. Since we generally don't live very lavishly, save for retirement, etc., we wanted to go a bit over the top on our rings. Since we both have dreamed of having the perfect engagement ring since we were young, we're getting our rings custom made. When my fiancé's older brother found out we were getting our rings custom made, he asked us to pick smaller, more low-key rings because he didn't want his fiancée to see our rings and be upset with him. He proposed to her with a $300 ring, which I'm guessing she wasn't happy about. He could have definitely afforded something way nicer as a surgeon with no loans and a house half paid for him. He just thinks engagement rings are a waste of money. He wanted us to get cheap, or at least much cheaper than we were planning, rings, so that his fiancée wouldn't be jealous if she saw our rings and get upset with him. I said no, because why in the hell would I choose my engagement ring based off of what another couple wants? And he told, not asked, us to buy a separate ring to wear whenever we came into contact with his fiancée, to post on social media. In all honesty, this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I didn't like my brother-in-law at all. He's rather rude, low-key misogynistic, and very entitled. My fiancée in his relationship is a very bleak meh, and really only held together by the willpower of her parents. I'll admit that I'm petty, so as soon as we hung up on him, I suggested we significantly upgrade our ring budgets to a level we could still comfortably afford, out of spite. My fiancée thought it'd be funny, so she agreed. I sent my brother-in-law the CAD mock-ups of our upgraded rings that showed some pretty big rocks, and he called me an a-hole. Are we? Not the a-hole. If he supposedly doesn't care about engagement rings or thinks they're not worth spending on, he has no business asking you to have yours made a certain way. He was cheap, didn't put any thought into it, and now he's going to get embarrassed because of your custom ring. That's on him, not on you. Edit. Also, the heartfelt gesture of having a ring custom done is very nice. It's not about the money you put into it, it's the thought and time you put into the ring, even if you do put a lot of money in it. Not the a-hole. I've never heard of anything so ludicrous. One thing I'll say though, choose the rings you want out of love for each other, not spite for your brother-in-law. You don't want your engagement rings to be an emblem of that relationship. Everyone sucks here. He's being ridiculous, and you suck because deliberately commissioning bigger, pricier rings just to spite him is tacky. It's fine to have an iceberg on your finger if you want it and can comfortably afford it, but you were happy with the previous designs, and you're going bigger for a negative reason. The plan wasn't to keep it a secret for so long. My girlfriend wanted to wait because we were in a difficult situation. I was previously married to her sister. We split because she did not want children, and I did. The split was amicable. We both agreed we wanted different things and should not be together anymore. Not long after our divorce was finalized, her sister, my girlfriend, and I started hanging. It was only as friends, with no intention of becoming more than that, but things quickly became intimate. It was not many months after things became physical that she got pregnant. I was happy about the pregnancy. We both want children and have stable careers, and I felt like our relationship had a lot of potential. She felt the same way, but was worried what her sister would think, so she asked for time to figure out how to tell her family. She didn't want me to mention anything to my family or friends while she was working up the courage to tell her sister, because she was afraid word might get back to her. By the time she was ready to give birth, she still was not ready. I think the problem at this point was a combo of it being hard news to break, but also now having waited for so long that the waiting only made it harder. Our daughter was born in March, and after we'd spent more time together as a family in the last few months and basically moved in together, she finally felt ready. We finally announced to everyone that I am the baby's father, and the reactions were about what you would expect. A mixture of surprise and anger over not being told. My family and friends are having a hard time dealing with this, even though I only did it to respect my girlfriend's wishes. I think I would have been the a-hole by telling them, not by keeping it a secret. After all, she is the mother of the baby, so I think it matters what she thinks and how she wanted to announce it. It wasn't my call. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole, and so is your girlfriend. For having a relationship with your ex-wife's sister, having a baby with her, and then hiding it for as long as you did. I can't imagine how she has to feel right now, whether the split was amicable or not. That after you broke up because she didn't want children, you turned around and had a baby with her sister. Not only that, but all of this might impact your baby's relationship with the rest of the family. Everyone sucks here. I'm not going to scold you for getting with your ex-wife's sister, as you didn't cheat with her, and I'm more curious whether she knew about your relationship at all or not. If she didn't, that makes the situation so much worse. Because imagine going about your day when you find out that not only your ex-husband is hooking up with your sister, but they also had a baby without telling anyone. Yikes! But getting back to the question, what you guys are the a-holes for is hiding it for so long. I get that you were trying to respect your girlfriend's wishes, and that's great. But as you guys were getting close to the birth, you needed to have a discussion about telling people once and for all, not wait 4 months after everything was done. Imagine what your ex-wife feels since she found out, literally at the same time as the rest of your family. I can only imagine how humiliated she was learning all this information at once in front of everyone. If you were so worried about her reaction, you both should have told her first so she could process the shock without everyone else in the picture. You've been lying by omission to your loved ones for literally months, which will understandably damage your relationships with them. I think everyone sucks here. She shouldn't have asked that of you, but you helped create this situation by messing around with your former sister-in-law. So, Mai, female 25, mother had a child before me, Kay, 28, who she'd given up for adoption. I don't know all the details, but she was in an aggressive relationship at the time, and she just broke up with him when she got pregnant. She gave him up and went no contact, even when they tried to find her. My mom married my dad, and I didn't know about my brother until my father died 10 years ago, and my mother revealed Kay's existence. She didn't want me to contact him, but didn't want to keep him as a secret either. I did as she asked for a few years, but at the end of high school, I was having a hard time and I was dreaming about a protective big brother, so I found and messaged him. He was so nice from the start. He didn't know I existed, but wanted to meet and have a relationship immediately. We became best friends right away, and I even lived with his family because my university was close to them. I can't imagine my life without him. I tried to tell my mom stories about Kay, so she knows Kay is nothing like his biological father, but she seemed very uncomfortable with the idea of meeting him, so I eventually stopped. The problem started when I got engaged and started to plan the wedding. Of course, I wanted to invite Kay and his family too, and because he is the only father figure I have, I asked him to walk me down the aisle. He was so happy and said yes. I didn't think this would be a problem, but my mom overheard me talking about Kay to my fiancé and asked, "He isn't invited, right?" I looked at her surprised and said, "He is my brother. I want him there. I asked him to walk me down too." She started screaming at me about how inconsiderate I am, and how dare I force her to meet Kay. I told her that Kay is an important part of my life, and they wouldn't have to interact with each other, but I need him on my special day. She told me that I don't care about her, and that she will still have to see Kay, and have him in the family pictures where he doesn't belong. To that, I got really angry, and told her that he is my family as much as her, and she should be able to tolerate him for a day, if she loves me. She left our flat in anger and then texted me that if Kay will be there, I won't. Now I don't know what to do. I understand that she has trauma about Kay and doesn't want a relationship with him, but she had almost 30 years to process it. Kay has trauma too because she abandoned him and still struggles with the thought of unwantedness, but he didn't give me any ultimatum. I just want my whole family there at my wedding and don't want to choose between my mother and my brother. I feel torn apart. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mother obviously has trauma related to your brother, but at the end of the day, it's your wedding. You have given no ultimatums. Your brother has given no ultimatums. If she doesn't show up, it's no one's fault but her own. Everyone on here says this, but it sounds like she needs counseling. I wouldn't explicitly say she's in the wrong if she just sent the boundary that she wouldn't go to the wedding if he was there. She has no obligation to meet him at this point. However, her guilt-tripping towards you is unacceptable. No a-hole. You are free to invite whoever you want to your wedding. You care for your mother, and you care for your brother. so of course you want them both there. But I have sympathy for your mother not wanting to be involved in any way with your brother. She has that right too. I see no way to resolve this, aside from not inviting either of them. You can look at it this way. You are not choosing between your mother and your brother. You are inviting both of them, and it's up to them to decide whether or not they will attend. No, a-hole. Didn't it occur to you that your mother might have wanted to walk you down the aisle, though? She's your remaining parent, and it's typically a parent's role. There are a few things going on with your mother's reaction. She's been displaced from a parental role in your big day. She's being forced to confront her trauma on what should be one of the happiest days of her life. Yeah, it's your wedding, but she's also been excited for you and loves you and wants to see you be married. She's also very straightforward with the relationship she wants with Kay. You knew she didn't want to meet him. How does that work if he's giving you away and she's mother of the bride? Knowing all this, you still asked Kay to walk you down the aisle, gave him a prominent role in your wedding, and basically expected your mother to deal with it. But you had to have known she would not be able to deal with it. I don't think you're the a-hole because it's your wedding and you can do what you like. But that doesn't mean other people won't be affected by your choices. Your mother and Kay both have trauma surrounding each other, and involving both in your wedding was going to create fireworks of the negative kind. If Kay looks anything like his father, you are asking something completely unreasonable of your mother. She'll be watching her aggressor give you away at your wedding. It would be unbearable. I, 25 female, am a bridesmaid in my sister's, who we'll call Joanne for privacy, 28 female wedding. She's engaged to an amazing guy, who we'll call Tom, 30 male. I don't like my sister much. She's really rude at times and refuses to acknowledge it. So I've been low contact since I was 22. I'm only in her wedding because she and my mother begged me to do it. My sister has a wedding group chat, which involves our family, most of our extended, her friends, everyone in the wedding party, and everyone in Tom's family. She posts private conversations about the wedding there between her and bridesmaids or other people for some reason. She says it's for evidence or something. I don't know. She's also quite the bridezilla. Most of the bridesmaids look the same as per my sister's image. Brown hair, blue eyes. Ones who were naturally another color were required to get lenses, which in my opinion is a little weird, among other things. It's not a big deal, but her best friend and maid of honor, who we'll call Kate, 29 female, stands out because unlike the rest of us, she's a bit on the heavier side. Not overweight, but noticeably bigger than all of us. Kate's really sweet. I've known her since elementary and we're pretty close, which is why I was suspicious when I saw that Joanne uploaded a text thread where Kate was calling her an a-hole. The conversation was all about how Kate's dress that Joanne bought wasn't fitting her. Then black text from Joanne, then Kate calling her an a-hole and shaming her. The text was quite big and I was curious. I saw something about how to see text covered in black on TikTok, so I went back to it and did what it said to see what Joanne could have said to warrant that reaction from Kate. Well, as to my suspicions, Kate wasn't being an a-hole for no reason. Joanne decided to go on a rant berating Kate because she couldn't fit in the dress. Most notable line being, maybe if you weren't so fat, you'd fit in the dress. Go to the gym for once in your life. Amongst saying she's not buying another dress and horrible names. I took a screenshot and when I went back to the group text, everyone was like, wow, what the duck? How could Kate say that? So to show everyone what really happened, I sent the screenshot. Well, next thing I know, everyone is siding with Kate, and Joanne is blowing up my phone calling me all sorts of names and calling BS in the group chat. Mom was pissed, and Dad is yet to give an opinion. A few people called me an a-hole for doing this, but this was all her close friends, so I wanted an unbiased opinion. So, great judges of Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister knew how she would look in the text, which is why she blacked it out. She claims to be sending these screenshots for evidence, but she is manipulating the evidence. You just exposed the truth. Honestly, she brought this on herself. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Also, we really have to get rid of this idea that standing up to an aggressor or rocking the boat is somehow bad behavior. It is always the right thing to do, and doing nothing when you have the power to do something is actually immoral. Your sis definitely sounds like a piece of work. OP, wedding isn't worth it. I'd back out now if I were you. Not the a-hole. You actually did the right thing because everyone would have hated Kate, but it's a good thing you showed who is truly an awful person and you put your sis in her place. Not the a-hole. You didn't make her say awful things. You just exposed her. And you probably wouldn't even have done that if she didn't try to go even further in making her poor friend out to be the enemy, simply because she's overweight. No surprise they had to beg you to be in the wedding if this is how she treats friends.